Proverbs chapter 14. I will be looking at verse 12 in particular. So, Romans chapter 1 gives a good picture of the image of God that we can see in his creation. A lot of beautiful things that we can witness here on earth, things that point us to him, to his existence. There's lots of things that we can look out at and just appreciate, knowing that there must be a designer for this. There's no one who has an excuse to think that what we witness is not made by the hands of a higher being, by a God. And we see that in this image here. It's beautiful. I will not be talking about this. I will be talking about something that I find much more horrifying, because this too is a creation of God, and this too is something that he would have made, but it is something that we understand far less than what we can see around us, and it is something that I might have said already is much more ominous. I think that this, being a black hole, has a lot of symbolism and some metaphors that can be related to the draw of sin and the doom that it leads to, and I will make a few points about that tonight. So Proverbs chapter 14, verse 12 reads, "There is a way that seems right to a man, but its end is the way of death." And I must admit that there's sometimes that I may personally read about the consequences of sin and it leading to death, and sometimes that word, death, just goes over my head. Like, yeah, I get it on paper. I know what it means. I know that I obviously don't want that to happen to me, but the gravity, no pun intended, of the consequences that you face when you truly have this eternal death and this separation from God, it doesn't seem as visceral as it should. And I think black holes have a very tangible concept that inspires this fear in me that I can relate. So 3 points. I'm going to flip to this next slide and we'll go over them. Point number 1, living an unrepentant life of sin will ensnare you in darkness. If you live a life that is contrary to God's will for you, you are living a life that is destined to end in your doom. Our sin weighs us all down and drags us into darkness should we not take the right steps to correct that path. Proverbs chapter 5, starting in verse 21, I'll read to verse 23, says, "For a man's ways are before the eyes of the Lord, and he ponders all his paths. The iniquities of the wicked ensnare him, and he is held fast in the cords of his sin. He dies for lack of discipline, and because of his great folly, he is led astray." And you can see some of the similarities here, the true weight that someone has to bear for his own sin if there's not a propitiation on his behalf. There's real consequences to committing these acts. Our brother Titus read in 2 Peter chapter 2, when we were going over Balaam this past Lord's Day, but starting in verse 17 of chapter 2 of 2 Peter, talking about these men who have gone the way of Balaam, who have forsaken the true path for the benefit of their own personal gain. It says, "These are waterless springs and mists driven by a storm. For them, the gloom of utter darkness has been reserved." So if you think of this place that has been created just for the purpose of holding people who are to be punished, I think that the imagery here is very appropriate. My second point is that your own merit cannot save you from your own sins. There's no way for us to change the outcome, to change our directions based on our own intrinsic qualities. And I would dare to use a little bit of math to bring this symbol together, because when you think of a force of gravity that is acting on a body, think of you're getting sucked into a black hole, and you don't want that to happen, right? So you have a certain velocity that you need to be going, a certain speed going away from that black hole to overcome the force that's acting on you. And that ends up being a balance of your kinetic energy, how fast you're going, and the energy that corresponds to that, and the potential energy that you have should you be acted on by that black hole. And what's interesting is when you simplify the equation, your own mass does not play a part in that function, which means that you can't say to someone else, oh, I'm kind of lighter than you, no offense, but that means that I can get out a little bit easier than you can. A feather can't say to a brick, I'm not gonna need to go as fast as you because I'm lighter, and the black hole won't suck me in as easily. The truth is that doesn't matter. And just like the object's mass doesn't affect how fast it needs to go to escape from the gravity of an acting body, be it a planet or a black hole, we can't say, oh, my sin, I haven't committed quite enough to really be affected, to really be doomed, to really be damned. I might say to someone else, I might be a little bit worried if I were you, but I surely am not that bad. Surely God will show me more mercy than he would you. And the truth is that's just foolish to think. Isaiah chapter 64 verse 6 says, we have all become as one unclean, and all our righteous deeds are like a soiled garment. We all fade like a leaf, and our iniquities, like the wind, take us away. Titus chapter 3 verse 5 says, he saved us, he being Christ, not because of works done by us in righteousness, but according to his own mercy. My final point, you must receive salvation while you still can. One of the most interesting and, in my opinion, horrifying details of a black hole is the threshold that you may pass, in which your escape velocity must be greater than the fastest speed that we know to be possible in our universe. That's the speed of light. Once you get close enough to the black hole, you pass what is called the event horizon, and that's the part that's completely black because light can't escape from the black hole. And if light can't escape, then nothing has any hope of getting out. And that becomes the point where no information can leave. We don't know what's past there. We have a few ideas, and fun fact, the actual technical term that is used by scientists who are really smart is called spaghettification for what happens to things that go past that point. And that's a real thing. Obviously, we don't want that to happen to us. And likewise, we don't want to get to a point where we choose to change our minds, or we decide, okay, now I'm ready. Now I changed my mind. I want to be saved. I don't want to be here. I really don't want to be here. And it'd be too late. Luke chapter 16, starting at verse 22, is the parable of the virgins. Or actually, no, I lied to you. It's the rich man and Lazarus, actually. And it describes what happens in verse 26. Once the rich man dies, and he is in his place of torment, and he is begging to come over from torment over to Abraham's bosom. And it is to his desire to go over that Abraham says, and besides all this, between us and you, a great chasm has been fixed, in order that those who would pass from here to you may not be able, and none may cross from there to us. So there's this point where God has fixed a division between those who are to be tormented and those who are not to be. And once you get to this point, you can't change your mind and decide, hey, I don't want to be here, save me, God, because it'll be too late. In Revelation chapter 22, verse 11, God even goes as far as to state his desire and even to command, let the evildoer still do evil, and the filthy still be filthy, and the righteous still do right, and the holy still be holy. Through John, God speaks of this point in time where whatever state you were in, passing this point, you are to still be that way. And there will surely be those who decide with all of their heart, I want Jesus to save me. I want God to save me. I fully commit myself. If you give me this chance, I'll do it. Please save me, God. I know you're there. I know you now. And Jesus will say, I never knew you. I don't know you. And it'll be too late. You've passed that point of no return. You've passed that event horizon. And don't let that happen to you. Thankfully, we do have a way to avoid this. And this final verse I have for you comes from Colossians. It is from the dominion of darkness, he has rescued us and has brought us into the kingdom of the Son he loves, in whom we have redemption, the forgiveness of sins. There is a way that we can go that does not lead to destruction, to our doom. And it is only through his Son, who is the way, that we can go. And you must make very sure, we all must make very sure, I must make very sure, that this is the way we are to go. Because if not, then doom is our destiny. If you are not a Christian and you do not want to go to a place where things like this can only be described and defined through imagery, then please consider yourself, consider your heart, consider where you want to be for eternity. So it'll be a very real place where you can go to one side or the other. And we surely want for all of us, as many of us as possible, to be with God in the presence of our Creator. The way is through Christ. Christ has been preached to you, and you must believe that Jesus is the Christ, that he's the Son of God. You are to confess him before men and be baptized into his name. Then you are to live a life that is pointed toward him to the end, to death, and you will receive your salvation. There is a brother or sister here who might be ensnared by sin, who might be weighed down by the consequences of his or her actions, then who better to talk to than the people who know you, know what you're about, what you desire, and who want nothing more than for you to be restored. So we're all here trying to get to the same place. We're all running our own race, but our destination is the same. So let's help each other and let's lift each other up. And if there's anyone here in particular who has a need, then please let it be known as we stand and we sing.